Thanks for staying with us. So singer and songwriter Oluwatobiloba Daniel, a.k.a. Kizz Daniel, has been allegedly arrested in Tanzania after failing to show up for a paid concert in the country. Fans of the singer who had gathered at the venue of the advertised show in Tanzania left in anger and trashed the place after he failed to show up, according to the viral videos that we have seen. So there are different stories, around social media on why Kizz Daniel did not show up for this concert. And I would like Miriam to help us with some of the things you've heard.
So yesterday also there was a viral video going around that showed, what's his name, Daddy Freeze interviewing, I think, the promoter of the show, who claimed that he had put in about $60,000 for that particular show. He gave the prices of the tables, really expensive show, He said a lot of money went into it. But Kizz Daniel claimed that his luggage had not come in, and in his luggage was a particular chain he liked to wear whenever he performs. And if he didn't have that, he would not perform. They said they begged him, they had tears in their eyes begging him because of what they had put down, and people were so upset. Anyway, the police took him. But what we hear is that he's been released, and his lawyers will go back to the police station to finish the conversation on this.
Okay, so the conversation now is you were paid for a concert to come and perform. And instead of coming to perform, you had one excuse. No matter the excuse, you had an excuse, you didn't perform. Fans in anger decided to destroy the place because they did not see the person they had paid to come and watch. What are your thoughts on this? You can join the conversation on 081-270-53687, or you can tweet us at TVC Connect using the Your View on TVC hashtag and join the conversation. So my question is, because when I was reading, I saw some things where some Nigerians were saying that this has been the norm for him in a place like Nigeria, where he's been paid to come perform, and then he won't show up, or he will show up late, and they'll have to beg him to come on stage. And now he has carried the behavior to a place like Tanzania, and this is the outcome of it. When you heard this, what was the first thing that came to your mind? Okay,
so we know that he has been on our airwaves back-to-back recently, and we're all celebrating his songs, and every time there's a celebration, his song is the first one we play. And I remember one time, I think he had mentioned that he was looking forward to someday be able to play this song at an international world event, like a World Cup or something. And even in my mind, I was waiting, as I saw Toby and Musa and all the other ladies winning things, I'm like, very soon his dream will come true. And, it just looks like a clear path. But the truth is that on our journey to success, we must be ready to be disciplined, to have integrity, to show up when we say we'll show up. And this will cost him a lot. It will cost him other deals, bigger platforms, because he has shown that he cannot be trusted in little. I hope we hear from him and hear why that particular chain was important to him. I know of celebrities, actors, boxers, people who wear the same underwear for many years because that's the only, to go into the ring for boxers, because that's the only, that's a good luck charm. Some of them will wear socks. Footballers are known to wear a particular socks that they've worn since they started their football career. So I don't know if that was the sort of hold it has on him, but knowing that money was put into this, there are consequences for every action. You know that money has been paid. What do you want these promoters to do? And if you cannot show up, you must be willing to come before people and apologize.
And refund your money. Yeah. What are your thoughts on this? Okay, Nima is ready. Go ahead. Okay, so I followed this trend on Twitter, and somebody carefully just showed pictures that shows that this person is always needed a substance to balance up. So this tweet showed him while walking around with a glass in his hand, obviously. So there was also suggestions online that he didn't perform because he didn't get the needed high to perform.
To get on stage.
Now, this is what breaks my heart, because I don't have a lot of music artists that I farm, but this one, I farm because I saw his pedigree when he had those legal issues with his earlier label. I read that, he was well-read. He's not one of those who skipped school, who don't have a school record. Someone said he had a 2-1. One of these blogs said he had a 2-1. He went to school,
when his father passed, they wrote about, he comes from a balanced background. You'd expect some form of responsibility.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about money alone. When you enter into contracts, you just must perform. Also, when you enter into contracts and people are looking up, so the fans that scattered the place in Tanzania said they paid as high as $5,000 per table. Wow. These were people, and you're at the height of your career, you're trending, people love you. Humility, just small like this.
Just add it.
You add to this fame, and you're going to go places. You're going to blow. He's an A-list artist, whether he likes it or not. He's in the league of the Wizkids and all of that around the world. And if you're looking at African countries as the place where you can abuse contracts, and, nothing will happen. The sad part is that they say the promoter of this show is a Nigerian who was trying his first hand, the organizer of this show, was trying his organizing
big show, like
at the first one outside the country, rather not to compete with other, of such people here. And so he did such an event where $300,000 was expended. And, you just decided, you just want, I can just not show up. If nothing at all was paid, let's assume that the organizers were owing you. What can you do for your fans who have gathered to see you? How do you balance things? Before you decide not to show up, it will be that, over and over, the promoters or the organizers of such shows have defaulted. But you will put your... Tiwa Savage, when we read about Tiwa's story, when she broke up with her husband, when he attempted suicide and all of those stories, when she came out to that side of, the several years of abuse, she would perform, not knowing, believing that they will pay at the end of the show, whereas her husband would have collected up front all the monies and moved on. And she would still perform. Not once did she stand down, her audience. And that's how you rise to fame. We need to talk to these our people, these our bureaus who are up and down, blowing. Somebody needs to sit them down. And I know Kizz Daniel is from a family, because I read when his father died about him. He's from a family that grounded. Somebody should sit in there and tell him, you better sit up and give yourself some sense.
I'm telling you.
And drop that cup you're holding up and down.
Collect the cup from him.
Collect that cup from him. Let him start to use his sense that he used to get a 2-1 to handle life.
I agree with you, Nima.
The truth is, fame is intoxicating. It's when you become famous, your ego gets bloated, and it takes a lot to remain grounded. And very many, especially within the music industry, miss it because it is just so much high. The energy from people, the love from people, the attention. You just feel like you are larger than life. But guys, it's so fleeting. You are just as good as your last hit.
Yeah.
And people still don't get it because in that moment, this is his time. He's had hits back to back for the past 5 years. And he has missed several shows for flimsy excuses. He was paid to perform in Babcock. He did not show up. But because he has hits, they'll still call him. There are some artists that don't have hits in the past few years, and they still get to perform because of the person they are. If people hail you now, they are hailing you because of this momentary high of the songs you are singing. In 10, 20 years' time, you don't have any hit. What will people say about you?
Forget you
It is extremely important for people not to let fame get into their head. We need to say it over and over again because it happens to several people. So I like Nima's point of view in that many of our artists perform under the influence of drugs. And we cannot deny it. Whether drugs and alcohol, whether substance, under substance. Different grades. They blow it. They all do it on social media. You see people rapping joints and smoking it online. It's a norm. I was a makeup artist for many years, and my primary job was to do makeup for music artists. I used to do music videos. They cannot even shoot their videos without being high. And so we're talking about people who are addicts. They sing, we love it, but we must always realize that they are addicts. And a lot of them need to get help.
They need help.
But because they are under this heavy and performing, you are flying to Joburg today, from Joburg to Zambia, from Zambia to UK, they are perpetually pumping themselves with all sorts to continue to perform.
To sustain the pressure.
There is something wrong. And all of us just celebrate because we love the songs, but we're not dealing with the real issues. There's a problem. How can a chain keep you from performing when you're being paid? Then you should know that it's not a chain. There is more to it than chain.
There's
a problem. And until we start addressing the drug abuse, the substance abuse in our celebrities, in our artists.
But let us remember that this is still an allegation.
Yes. So I'm going to say.
Okay. We're talking generally.
The allegation is that it's not an allegation that he did not perform.
Yeah.
It's not an allegation. He was built to perform, he did not perform. And he's had several other cases where he was built to perform and did not perform. So this is not the first time he's doing it. That part is not an allegation. Drug abuse, substance abuse is not an allegation. We see red cup is not water. And everything, Red cup is not water. We see them carrying the cup everywhere. So it is. We should address the different layers of issues. And when you the higher you rise to the top, and I'll just rest after this, the higher you rise to the top, you must surround yourself with people who can check you, who can hold you back. If not, you go lost.
I love that talk, man. Surround yourself with people who can check you and hold you back. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we open our phone lines and take some messages. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So still on the conversation about Kizz Daniel, there's something I usually tell young people around me, that talent is never enough. No matter how talented you are, and you don't work on your character, you don't build your character, you don't build that honesty, you don't build that integrity, it will get to a point where it will bring you down, and then you start calling village people. And these village people we call, there are no village people that are, stoking the fire and trying to pull you down. It's your character. It's your attitude. Now, I want to come to the ladies. What are some of the things that you have seen with people who suddenly become, not suddenly, you've worked hard, but then the fame is coming, and then they can no longer handle it? What are some of the things we can begin to do for them to support them so that they can get help around us? Let's start from around us.
Okay, so starting from around, I'll just deviate a bit, but it has to do with, especially growing here in Nigeria, in the Nigerian environment. Someone posted something that many Nigerians his arrest, Kizz Daniel's arrest, is a proof that a lot of us won't survive working outside of Nigeria. There's a Nigerianness in the way we do things. Someone is supposed to be at work, and the person does not show up at the time or 2 hours after. And then when you finally read the person, I'm not feeling fine now. Do you understand? It's like, what do you expect me to do? And if you insist on someone doing their job, they become upset at you. Like, why would you ask them to do it in a certain, meanwhile, it was there written down that this is what you're meant to do. There's that Nigerianness that we do with each other. And in other places, it shows that there are consequences for our actions. So that community, first of all, we need to change that mindset here in Nigeria, where we feel that because when we're doing a job, we are doing somebody a favor. When you're being paid to do something, you must make sure that you do it according to the books. Never always come with excuses. That's another thing I see a lot of young people do. That excuses we like to give. Yes, but it rained yesterday. You knew it was about to rain. What did you do to make sure that you were able to deliver without the rain affecting it or affecting it too much? Well, always easier to come up with excuses. So with young people, I think, remember that in the little, wherever you are right now, in the little that you have, you need to do your best, because that is your report card for when you go for bigger stuff.
Fantastic, Miriam. Let's take this call. Elton from Abuja. Good morning, Elton.
Good morning. This is my first time calling.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, speaking of this Kizz Daniel's issue, I think this is not the first time Kizz Daniel is doing this. And I'm referring it to drug abuse. Of course, a lot of our artists take drugs, and I'm not trying to defend this, it's wrong. But this one has nothing to do with drug abuse at all. I feel this particular one is the artist. I think this particular one is the artist, because we see something from our artists. We see when they're blowing up, they blow from Nigeria to Africa, from Africa to US and UK, and then they go into Netherlands, Portugal, and the rest. So this particular one, I feel, is Kizz Daniel himself. He should work on himself, because we've seen Davido, we've seen Wizkid, we've seen Burna Boy, we've seen how they've excelled in this same industry, from Nigeria to Africa, and he's in Africa. I'm not going to say he's where those ones are. If you're talking about the payment, a few months ago, the video said he performed in Netherlands, and the show promoter has not still paid him after about a week after performing. But he has performed and he has left. He has gone on to perform in other shows. And you should just put your fans, put the amount of money that you spent, and put your name as the artist.
Thank you so much. We'll have another caller quickly before I come to you. Abdul, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing amazing, sir.
Yes, on this Kizz Daniel matter, it was completely very unprofessional. Nobody does that. It was very unprofessional. He has taken money to perform a show. No matter what happens, he has to appear on that stage. Even
Oh, I think we lost that.
I was going to talk about, the legality of this. Someone had tweeted yesterday also that they shouldn't have been arrested. It was a civil issue. He's breaching his contract to perform or not to perform was a civil issue. But the arrest that he started, the whole scattered. They broke public property due to his action. That's a criminal issue. Whatever they consider public disorder in their laws, and the cause of it is different. And so that is a matter that can be addressed by the police because, of course, he was released yesterday. He was even allowed, according to tweets, that to come back to Nigeria while his legal team handles what is left. So probably they're staying back to deal with the other parts. He wanted to refund. So it would have been a different thing if he was stuck here due to maybe there was a lockdown, COVID, any other thing.
Flight cancellations,
But if you have landed, that means you're taking care of all the frustrations. If a fire happened at the hall, then it's beyond you. But you were in the country and you looked at the people and you decided, we just look black, you're not white. Because if it was in the America, you are not here.
This will not happen.
That is US store. You can't sue any parts. You are not here. That is UK store. When they were all competing for, what's that public hall? O2 Arena. Where all of them were competing for how many people covered the hall. He went to. He did not disappoint his organizers at the time. So a lot of times, is this... We need to clear this mentality. People are people. And when you owe them, you owe them.
Irrespective of their color.
Mention an important issue. There's a responsibility to work. I remember when I joined this show, at my auditions, I was asked, where are you coming from? I said, Satellite Town. Somebody said, Jumoke even asked me after my first audition that, are you sure you want to do this work? Your excuse, and the producer told me, your resumption time is 7 a.m. For a show that was 9 a.m. and I had a little daughter. I put it in my left hand. I didn't want to default. If I tell you when I used to leave the house and leave my daughter to make it to the show, that's responsibility because I didn't want to hear tomorrow for one excuse or the other, and it remained a character. I also recently employed someone, and I said to her, you have children? She said, yes. I said, okay, this work involves you coming into my personal space. How will you handle your children? She said, no, there's somewhere she keeps them. I said, oh, no, guys.
Will you bring them?
Should you bring them? Because I know myself. I easily get interested. I want to start... Before
paying school fees.
Boundaries don't.
Let me pause you a bit, Nima. Let's take this call. Ukwoma from Abakaleke. Good morning.
Morning. Yeah. Am I on to your view?
Yes, you are.
Yes. People are doing a marvelous job. I'm meeting you for the second time after a whole year. I've been trying virtually every year.
Oh, sorry about that.
I'm also carried away by your smiles on TV. Now, let's go straight to Kizz Daniel is working with the detained. That makes him a fake performer. Because if it is his real self, he cannot, stop performing because of ordinary thing. In fact, for him, that thing is not ordinary. Yes, that's the meaning of it. And the people like you are performers on TV. Tell me how many times you go to drink Thai before coming to perform.
We're naturally high. Oh, we lost that. Set up where, please, your thoughts.
I wanted to talk about, I know we've all of us have spoken about the issue of integrity, the issue of
responsibility,
trust, the issue of responsibility, the issue of keeping your word. But many celebrities do this thing. The caller said Wizkid did not fail. Wizkid, we cannot count Several.
They did it well.
Several shows did not perform, both Nigeria and even outside Nigeria.
Did it make
Wizkid's first show in Zimbabwe, it did not show up, and it was in Zimbabwe.
Wow.
So it's even outside Nigeria, these things happen and they don't show up. We've had celebrities that, I know late Amy Winehouse had a lot of cases where she didn't show up, and they later found out after she passed on that she was battling a lot of issues. And it had to do with drugs. It had to do with drugs. And because of inability of drugs or overdose of drugs made her not show up for many performances. So if we look deep into this issue, we are going to be dealing with the issue of many people need to register in for what do you call that stuff? Rehab. Yeah. You know, that's aside from pure indiscipline. Now, Nima mentioned the legal ramification. Before any contract, before you pay someone to show up, you must sign a bit of contract. And there are rules and there are laws. At first, when I saw that they said the audience started destroying the facility, I felt, oh, Africa started again. But I checked online. Oyinbos too destroy facility. They destroy facility when artists don't come to perform because they are enraged. They've raised expectation. They showed up, cleared their schedule, paid. Even if they're going to get a refund, it will take a while. People need to understand. People travel for this trip. Some people travel out of states to attend. Maybe they're not living in Lagos. They come to Lagos just for an event. Too many things are at stake for somebody to just not show up like that. It must either be a life and death situation. And for artists, people respect you when you show up. There are artists that they tell you, people talk about Beyonce's work ethic. The level before any show. Excellent. Like, what's going on? She prepares for the show like this is life and death. And that's the way we must put in our work. Put excellence into your work. Talent will take you so far. It is your character that will sustain that growth. So for me, this is a no-no, and we must frown against it as well as all other artists who do it.
Yeah, so let me ask this question. I know that growing up, managers used to have like a say with their artists. They were that strong enough to say, this is the expectation, they will push you to do the work. What is happening with the managers of today? Did the management not know that if there is no necklace, this guy will not perform and provide it?
I've left one management before.
Is he on his own now?
That management sued him. It took him a while. So I don't know who's managing him presently, but I think he's more in control than the management team that he has now. He had, he used to sing the name of that management team. And that management team sort of controlled him, and he didn't like it. Well, apparently, you see somebody who needs control. He does need control. Right? Also, whether or not there's a contract you sign, costs are put into the organizing of events. You know that at that hall, not only will people pay to sit, caterers would have been paid, who would have been paid, you know, people that bought stands and all of that. There's a lot of legal consequences of it. To it, whether written or not, because this attitude of Nigeria will just give you your money back. Doesn't take care of anything. The security that they would have put in place to get that place secure enough for you to come in would have cost that organizer something. I wish that organizer, this is not because I don't like Kizz Daniel, just so that we'll set a proper precedent of what a working society looks like. In Nigeria here, when artists default, the management just go back, they do paddy, they settle the things outside, don't worry, you know, just organize 2 others. No. Somebody should take them to court and say, this is how much I have invested. And this is what it cost me for you not to perform. This was my projected profit.
That's it.
And this projected profit was so and so amount. The court, under equity, would award it clear if you're able to prove it, if your lawyer head correct. You know, you will collect your money so that artist next time, when he now sees the consequence, because if you were seeing these things, court processes abroad with artists, when you see the consequence of it, what's his name? One rapper artist, he went bankrupt on this kind of things. He did it too many times. They emptied the guy. He declared bankruptcy.
You don't try this in some places.
Go ahead, you had mentioned talent is not enough, and I think that we should reiterate that. Work ethic. For a lot of the international stars that we enjoy today and we celebrate today, and they have shown consistency and, you know, timelessness over time, is much more than their talent, much more about their work ethic than it is about their talent. Beyonce is known to give it her all. Creatively, physically, she is there. I recently saw a short clip of Chris Brown performing, and while he was performing, his trousers split. He did not get down the stage. He did not say, no, I cannot use this trouser. He took off his shirt, tied it around his waist, and continued moving. Recently, he was also shown that a lot of people paid like thousands of dollars to see him, to do a meet and greet with Chris Brown. And he took really, you know, some people maybe overly personal pictures. And he said, yes, these people paid a lot of money and they wanted to take pictures with me, and I gave them the free hand to do, because he understands that people are paying for this. This is a service. He's not entitled. I'm not Mr. Chris Brown, all famous star, and so some people are unimportant to me. As long as this person is paying you for a service, you must make sure that you give them the service. Our work ethic is so important. It reflects in so many things, not just entertainment and TV. In our politics, in our governance, in our schools, in our education, in our healthcare, is that same attitude that would show in everything. The sort of leaders that we elect into office. This shows how we respond during election period. Do we register? Do we go and vote? Do we make sure that we're there? You know, so those are the things, whether we like it or not. The way that we're carrying on in small things, in things that reflects in everything we do. It reflects in our parenting as well, how we are raising our children.
Wow.
So
let me quickly take this call.
As what Mariah always like to say is, you know, it's like it's about us. We the people.
Yeah, we the people. Let's take this call. Priye from Bielsa. Good morning, Priye.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I listened to your program, and I love it. What's happening in Tanzania is also unfortunate for Nigerian and other people. I think what I want to know is why it was arrested is one thing, and secondly, is it because of the chain that will prevent enough from coming to the issue? And such things keep occurring because I know a book show whereby the celebrity were expected to perform that day, did not show up. And he was charged and was paid. He paid the money that was asked to pay. Now, on Kizz Daniel's own, it's outside Nigeria. There should be a proper agreement from the manager or the organizer before such events. So when such things occur like this, because the excuse is not enough unless it involves maybe a death situation, or matter somebody like a friend or whatever that needs not to perform. But any other excuses that he will give is not enough. And I'm seeing it on Twitter and even on Facebook what he did. Everybody is going against him. What he did is totally unacceptable to the public, to the fans, to the managers, to the Nigerian celebrities.
Yeah.
Many of them are doing it. If you look at the level of celebrities that are doing those things, they are those ones that are already in a high level. If you call a young celebrity who is hungry to make money, is hungry to become somebody tomorrow, not do such a thing. But these people are celebrities.
Thank you so much, Priye.
I want to quickly respond to what Priye said, that you must have everything written down. Even in law, not all contracts are written down. Some performances can insinuate a return duty. So he was paid in full. That's all you need to hear in this matter. If the $60,000 in question that we hear was the amount paid, was even part payment, that's trouble. If you have received something to show up, you go show up. Plane must crash for you not to show. Something must happen. Something strong enough not to allow you even arrive is what will deter you or prevent you from performing your end. And non-performance has its consequences in anything. And I want to quickly say this as the last thing. If you become an artist, even those of us, I personally know I have friends who ground me. They are life coaches. They have all the books and all of them. I have a psychologist. I just play around to our office when I think I'm overwhelmed. I Maryland and say, sis, I'm dealing with this. So she helps me, get my legs on the ground again. And then I'm continuing with the pressures of work. So we know these pressures happen. Find someone, set up your own team. You have the money to do that. A team that knows when to say, can you do a one-on-one where you excel and push out the stress and go back and you are grounded and you're doing the right thing. Very important.
Let's go on a short break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Still on this conversation, there's a letter here, I think, written by the management, the people who invited Kizz Daniel to perform, and they're saying that's a Big Step Consultancy. And they're saying they wish to apologize to the public for what happened at the Summer Amplified concert slated for Sunday, August 7th, 2022, where the headliner artist, Kizz Daniel, who was fully paid, failed to perform as planned. We sincerely apologize for the inconvenience this caused our customers who trusted us and supported our event partnered with Stir It Up Vibes. So the letter went on to talk about how they're going to try and compensate their customers who had paid and ensured them to... Go ahead.
So there's an insider story I heard from, while at the shrine once, about when YK's mother died. The morning of that day, Femi was billed to perform at the Okoya concert. And his mother died. He went, he performed. Yeah. And at the end of the concert, he announced to the audience that I lost my mother this morning. People were shocked. People couldn't balance it. That's responsibility. Yeah. He was grieving. That could have even, because he was in Nigeria, that would have even allowed, people's sentiments and say, justified. But he went there. And you see how even when the market wasn't that ripe here, he sustained his career everywhere in the world because he will show up and he will perform his own end of things. Yeah. People suffer issues every day, but I cannot understand something that shows every time as if you are not on your own self, you are not in control of yourself, as if you're a substance abuser. So while you just turn down events.
Yeah, like all of this is still basically an allegation, and we expect that Kizz Daniel comes up with an explanation of why what happened. However, whether it's reasonable or not, we'll be the ones to determine that. But let him come up with, explaining to the people why what happened. And I remember that back in the days when we're doing our beauty pageantry and all that, even if your sandal cuts on stage, the show must go on. They train you that the show, entertainment, the show must go on. No matter what happens, you must appear at the time you're expected to appear. But let me bring it down to what affects us, because what we do here is to pick the stories and highlight some of the ways that we can begin to improve ourselves in every other aspect of life. This issue of late coming, because you are a celebrity. An event is supposed to be starting for 12. You will not show up till 6 p.m. because you don't want to perform in an empty hall. And then the fans too know that show is for 12. Artists will not come up till like 9 p.m. They will start showing up by 7, 8 p.m. Is it not a way of showing that we do not have integrity? We are not disciplined as a people? I remember there was a time I taught in an international school, and we're supposed to do a graduation ceremony. And the time was for 9 a.m. So I invited my hubby at the time, we're not married, to come. And in his mind, he felt, if this is going to be starting for 9, he will show in by 12. 9, bam, that was the first time I was experiencing it. The event started, 10, the event was over. When he came, we had packed up.
We don't pack share.
I was like, I said, yes, in this school, they keep to time. When I was a music performer, when I go for events, I'm always the first artist to come early. And some people say it's because you are just starting. But I love that. It's a part of me. I don't function well when I'm late. So I come in early. How do we start changing the narrative of African time? It's embarrassing.
So AMVCA made a huge impact. AMVCA, because it's being broadcast live, they don't, when they shut the door, they shut the door. If you come after they have shut the door, you cannot enter. And it was a shocker, because the first ever AMVCA, some celebrities could not get into the hall. Even because in the invite they had said is that this event, the red carpet is 6 to 7 p.m. 6 to 7 p.m. is red carpet. 8 o'clock, we go live. You cannot be opening the hall, walking around when we are already live. And because they had created that system, it works. I attend a lot of comedy shows, and you don't go early for comedy shows. Even though when they are marketing the Kiniko Live, comedy Kiniko, they would put 8 p.m. there, just prepare to go by 11.
Why?
Especially when it is now artists doing their, those something storming leg. I don't want to call any artist name, but they always start like that. They come extremely late. we stopped going for shows because when you go for those shows, maybe they would reserve Whiskey to be the last performance. Whiskey to perform at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. in the morning. And people are already tired. You're already sleeping. You've been there since 9 p.m. But they will reserve Whiskey. They will reserve those artists for like
the end of the show.
So let me pause you a bit. Let's take this call. Odafe from Abuja. Good morning, Odafe. Hello. I don't think it's there. So, Tope?
So, for me, I feel that it's about timing. If we agree that this is showtime, it is showtime. For speaking engagements, well, there was this conference I was called to come and speak at, and because I felt like this is the time they put there, we'll show up early. We got there early at the right time. I was supposed to speak at 10. They said the event would start at 9, so I got there 9:30. That, okay, event has started. I would come for my speaking. I'll leave 30 minutes after. When we got there, they had not started any part of the event. And it was speaking, and I already had another thing scheduled. It was Akomojo. I was supposed to finish that one and come to Ikeja for another one at 12. So I had a packed day. I didn't speak at that event because I had to meet another appointment. And the second appointment was a church. They were disciplined. Many churches, my church, many churches are clear with their time. If you are late, you have missed the service. You will come when they are doing grace. So it is about... We have accepted it from celebrities. We have accepted it from this industry. And as long as we continue to accept it, it will be the norm. The industries where they've said no, the places where they've said no, you can, no matter how big you are, you cannot go to the bank at 5:30 and say you want to go. It's just, this is the system.
Airport,
so,
you miss your flight,
any celebrity, as big as they are, they should stroll to the airport 5 minutes to when they are supposed to go. They cannot, they won't make it into the flight.
It's a culture. And what we allow, before we know it becomes a norm around us, we just do it. In the early days, now I select events. When you send me an event, I'd see whether your organizers even have the honorarium ahead of time. Because now from there you go know.
Whether they are organized or not.
I'm telling you, there was an event they organized somewhere on the island, on Lagos Island, just behind the Muson Center, one hall. And I arrived. I came with 2 of my younger ones. One was a PA, the other one a younger sister. And you know, we sat there. I'm not a breakfast person. Tilonga finished me.
Wow.
The audience were arriving. In fact, they were tying balloon. Yes, that's just one of many. You know?
They came to work.
And I'm a morning person. If you call me for an event, I'll leave home 6 a.m. Because if I fail to leave home by that time, I might just not be able to make your event. There'll be traffic. I would come in early. I would appreciate I finish at the time. They wrote 10 to 12 or 10 to 2. My plan was 2, I'm home. Truly, I didn't have anything to do. I just wanted to get home in time, call my babies, let them know mommy's still around for the weekend. Don't come and tell me one thing. Then when you have given me that and I'm giving you an attitude that I need to leave now. You're not making, I'm begging you, we're begging you. No, she gave us an attitude. It's a Nigerian thing. You know, we're even apologizing to her. When she came, she saw us. We were rushing. And somebody was saying that, and the other person was listening, and the person did not say, are you okay?
Yeah.
Wow.
Did you ask her, do you know where she's coming? Did you ask her what she had?
Well,
was
what
she
time
there
did you even put there, and did she come on time?
I sat more than 3 hours in my car, running my AC and my fuel, waiting for an unpaid event. And I thought, you know, I held that responsibility.
Nice.
So, no, we don't do one now. Come
No,
in the early days of your view, we attended a lot. You know now.
Yes.
No, I did my own fair share of
comedy shows. You know why I stopped attending comedy shows? I used to attend. My husband used to love just evening out.
Yeah.
I tire. I'll be at an event and the comedy was supposed to start. They will now be putting the small people we don't know. I know it's good to give them platform. Put them as part of the program.
Yeah, in between.
You know, you will sit there, and you see Nigerians trickling in, knowing that the main people they came to see will come in late.
How do we change this? Because, I don't know, we're trying to build a country that everything just works. And it has to start from excellence. I always tell people around me, whatever you are given to do, you must do it. I had a job recently where in the middle of the job, some things were changed. Normal me, as I vex rich, I would have just walked away. But because my name was involved, I said, okay, they've made the changes. How do I double up so that I can meet up? Because my name is involved. How do we begin to build that legacy? And these are some of the ways that we can, you know, give our final thoughts before we close for the day. Time has already gone. But how do we begin to build? How do we begin to find that intentionality? So you know that once my name is involved, people have to know me for this. People know me right now that I come early anywhere I go. From the time, maybe they will say because I've not blown. but I don't think I'm going to change because it's already a habit, and it's your habit that trickles down to what becomes your character. How do we begin to instill this? So you go for an event that, whether it's paid or not, and they don't start on time, can you take a walk?
Consequences. That's it.
Thank you, Miriam.
If there are consequences for any action, you would adjust. So it's either you pay the fine, you pay the bill, or you make sure you show up on time. Abroad, if there's a breach of contract, you pay. If you cannot pay, you end up in jail until such a time as you can pay. Simple and short. If you're invited for an event, if you go late, you get there, the door is closed in your face, and there's nothing you can do, you go home. The next event that you're invited for, you will do better. That's it. There has to be consequences. That begging for everything, like we do concerning everything in Nigeria, is what has caused us this. In traffic, someone takes a wrong turn. Everybody knows that this person is wrong, but we'll all wait for that person to take a turn on the highway that is not supposed to take and let him go. And then you, God help you, you that you're insisting that that is the wrong thing, and that person, everybody will be insulting you. What's wrong with you? Let him go, blah, blah, blah. So there are no consequences for bad behavior, and that's why we see it. I'll mention it again, and that's why we see it at the helms of affairs. That's why we see it as it affects us in important things. That's it.
I want to talk about integrity. I want to talk about keeping your word and the struggle to keep your word. It will cost you. I have mentors within my real estate industry, and there were challenges last year. Many people that were supposed to deliver houses had delays. And I had people that will come and tell you, either take refund or you pay the adjusted price. But I had a set of people that were my mentors that insisted that even though it was a huge loss for them, they delayed in delivering the houses, but they didn't ask for extra money because the agreement was pay this amount of money for this 3-bedroom. Even though to deliver that 3-bedroom is costing almost twice the amount of money based on the cost of everything that had happened, they delivered that 3-bedroom at the initial price. It is not convenient, but if you've already given your word, you must always show up. Because if you don't keep your word, then you have nothing. Nothing. There is nothing to you if I cannot hold you at your word. And I like as Mariam keeps throwing the thing back to our leaders, because it happens there too. When you don't keep your word at that place, a lot of our policies change.
That's the norm.
That's the norm. Policies change. You say that this is what you're going to do. Foreign direct investment has dropped. Why? The investors don't trust that the president will not wake up tomorrow and change the policy. And they will not say, this thing that we want to do, we don't want to do it again. We have cancelled the contract. This sale of refinery, we know they sell them again. We can't just, by whims, change our decisions, because there's impact on this thing. People's lives are at stake, and the impact is long-term, which is what we're suffering in Nigeria right now.
Let's take this call from Ade. Good morning. Abdul.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Abdul.
Yes, this idea of coming late for shows, I think the whole industry must look at themselves and blame themselves for it. Both the promoters who come very late to do their sound check, and the musicians. The musicians are given time for performance, they don't come. I was at a show where Lauryn Hill was performing at the coast. Lauryn Hill, the American superstar. She was given 9 p.m. At 9 p.m. she went on that stage. The promoters were telling her, no, don't go on that stage because people are not there. Say, that's their business. I've been given 9 p.m. to perform. And she went on stage, performed at 9 p.m. By the time she was getting down the stage, that's when the people started coming. But she was done. That's professionalism. We all need to insist that this is time. Time bound. Everything has to be time bound. Like in the live concert that Tokwe was talking about. Yes, live concert, they have advertised the show must come up at 9 p.m. They are not going to wait for you because people are at home watching on television, waiting for 9 p.m. So if you come at any other time, they should make sure no matter the caliber of the artist, they should not put that artist on stage. That is the way to start.
Thank you so much for that. But I like the fact that Miriam mentioned consequences. But do we have to wait for consequences to do the right thing? Where is the humanity in us to know between what is right and what is wrong? How are we raising our children to understand that you have to do this because it's just right? There is no excuse. You're not doing it because you're afraid of the consequences, but because you're a human being and you must make the right decisions. That's what separates us from animals who basically we can say they don't have a choice. But you have your cognitive abilities to know that this is right and this is wrong. Do we have to wait for consequences?
If you want 5 children, all cannot be the same. So people are fallible. And that's why we have laws that create consequences for, you know, for failures or irresponsibilities. So, yes, consequences is just the way. There's no perfect way to raising a human being. But if people pay for, you know, their failures and things that they do wrong, people will sit up and, you know, you don't want to be called. I remember when I joined the show, someone criticized me once and said, I thought you would say something like this. And I said, what's the basis? And she said, it's there, it's out there. I said, please, so. I'm a lawyer, I don't want any libel suit on me. And you're asking me to just, based on what is out there, say something. I said, when I have it as a fact, I would share it on the show responsibly. Otherwise, take your opinion to yourself. So some of us will know. Some of us will just, you know, get in the euphoria of the moment and do things. And some people really don't care. For those who don't care, you create consequences. When they see it, they will not even enter into that contract because they now know that there will be consequences for it. Yeah. And then it ensures that people's investments are recovered. The organizers of the show, like I said earlier, are expended. Suing. Refund?
They will refund.
Refund is the minimum.
They will refund the people that meant to end.
That was destroyed.
They will refund the people who were meant to attend.
How about the money that was supposed to have been made
for the audience?
Yes, they will
the profit.
For the audience, you know, there are always those CTs that are hidden in the ticket. So maybe that will cover what they will just refund to the audience. And I hope it's done on time because it usually takes time.
But for the organizers, audience.
No, they don't refund audience.
But I know that abroad they do. And even in the US, I think it was Kwamwan was meant to perform when I was in America last year, and he couldn't make it. So the organizers told the people up front before that day, because they had paid up front, that you won't be able to perform again. We are going to be refunding your money. So in organized setting, but when you said about consequences, the truth is, human beings we are naturally lawless. It happens everywhere, even in developed countries. When they have freedom, things go haywire. I heard something from Kule Shoriyo. He said the height of freedom, you know, when you become so free, is psychosis. You become mad. If you see you're free, you go mad. You go
down the craze.
Yes, you go down the craze. So a lot of our people forming like, I'm so free, I can walk around anyhow I want to walk around. They start looking at you like you're mad. So the government, the policies, laws are meant to checkmate that part of freedom that we want to express so that we don't abuse it, so that my own freedom does not begin to infringe on Nima's freedom or my freedom infringes on Mariam's freedom. So there's a law to protect everybody's interest.
Yeah, BC, just short one. Okay. People that don't wait until consequences, that those are special people. They are recognized for that. Wow. People that do things just for altruistic motives, you know, without any agenda, no motives. Those are really special people.
So we should thrive. We should thrive to be special. Yeah, that's the advice. Thank you so much, ladies, for this conversation. I hope you have learned a thing or two. We need to work on our integrity, honesty, ability to show up for the job, deliver excellence when the job finally comes. Whether you have blown or you are yet to blow, let that be your character traits. Let that be the legacy that you're leaving behind. And that's all we can take on today's show. Join us tomorrow for another exciting episode. Bye-bye now.